All right, thank you. As we have all known, we are in uh, we are in we are in our startup club event, and we commenced fully last week when we had our onboarding, and this week our weekly check-in commences. But as of today, why we will not be asking us for our weekly check-ins is would be giving us a one-time lecture that we can use to be sure that our startups are well structured to run. So at this juncture, I don't want to take us much into detail. I believe that everyone on this call already have a copy of our email of what this program is all about. Nevertheless, it's a lifetime support program where we empower entrepreneurs and innovators to accelerate innovation. That is simply what we are doing, working with young entrepreneurs, people that we believe in, to build ideas, develop the product, go into the market, keep iterating to find the best market and product fit. That is exactly what we are doing with the objective of an exit in future. All right. So for the session of today, we said that we are going to be working on the company structure, your team, and your finance. These are the three major things that we'll be talking on in few minutes from now. And the modules we'll be treating today, one is startup information. Number two, we'll be looking into our company types and structures. We'll also be looking into what we call the financial records and your team formation. Then we have questions and answers section. These are the four major modules we'll be looking into in today's teaching. And we believe that by the end of this section, each and every one of us would have to apply what we are teaching here today in their different startups. Let's start with the first one, startup information. Every entrepreneur here has to have a deep understanding of what his or her startup is all about. Why we might not start asking you for your pitch deck now, because we are not yet in the aspect of pitching for now. Each and every one of us should be able to communicate our startups effectively. We must be able to understand the problem. We keep emphasizing that it is not all about solution, it's all about the problem. And every entrepreneur on this call should have that at the back of his or her mind, that a profitable or a startup that would grow is a startup that is solving a specific problem. If you're unable to identify a problem, you cannot provide a solution. Fine, you can come up with an innovation, you might come up with an idea, but if that idea is not solving a pain of a mass of people, you might not be able to grow. What are we trying to say? If you are solving an innovation that is taking people to UK, and you don't have a lot of people who travel to UK on a monthly or weekly basis, you will not be able to scale. That is the emphasis we are trying to say. So aside the fact that we are not asking you to send in your pitch deck now, as when it is time, we'll begin to request for that. We want you to understand your problem. Find out the problem. As a matter of fact, every pitch deck always starts with your problem. It always starts with a problem. What is the problem you're solving? We have identified, an example is, we have identified that every student finds it hard to wake up on time to get to school by 8 a.m. It is a deep problem. So that is to say that you must have identified that over 70% of students find it hard to get off their bed by 5 a.m. in the morning to begin preparation. So you come to see that this is really a problem that you want to solve. Another good example is, we have identified that 80% of entrepreneurs that start up an idea fail within first 2 years. And this is a big problem for us to have started Startup Club, because we have the clear understanding of the problem. Another example might be that parents find it hard to pay their school fees as at when due. Now, for my brothers in Abia State, you will come to understand that people who are working in government establishment might not have been paid, or they are not paid early. Not that they have not been paid, because certainly they will be paid. or if a new government comes in now, see the difference now. This problem I mentioned might not be sustainable, because tomorrow a new government coming in might be able to begin to start clearing their payments as at every 25th of every month, and you get out of a business. So if you are getting a problem statement, you must be able to know that it's a problem that is a pen on paper, and it will happen to be there for a while. Not something that a government policy can change and things can just affect it and you're out of business. Understand your problem. That is number one. Remember, we are treating your startup information. Number two, you must be able to communicate your vision appropriately. You must be able to communicate your mission appropriately. You must be able to convincingly tell someone, your users, your potential users, what your goal is, what your mission is. And this, your mission and vision, is something that backs up your decision on day-to-day basis. This, your mission and vision, backs up the features that you add to your application daily, even as most of us are in the process of developing our product. We should be able to really say, we want to help students to back up to have their data at their fingertip. It's like your mission. It might be your mission, for example. And for that reason, it will help you to make every decision towards making sure that every student has access to their data on a go. If you are saving lives, for example, you must be able to have all your decision making, your partnership decision, your everything tied towards saving lives. You must be able to communicate your mission and your vision seamlessly without having a break at any point in time. All right. Sorry, I needed to mute the individual. So communication is very essential. This also boils down to your social media page as a business, as an individual, as a CEO, as a team member. I believe that we have team members on this call. Your communication is very vital. Would you be able to compose a message clearly, constructing it, and still sell what you are doing? Communication is important. Unlike persons that will be able to just post whatever they want to post on social media, every entrepreneur should understand that every day-to-day life ties towards your business and your idea. I did not say you should not have a social life. I did not say you should not post whatever you want to post. But at least let most of what you communicate be a way to sell what you do. That is communication. Understand your problem, understand your mission, understand your vision. Understand that communication is essential. Many investors or individuals that seek out to talk to persons, or persons that have spoken to me, let me be more personalized, that have spoken to me directly, happens to be people who will visit my timeline, see content I post on my timeline day to day. It is either reflecting on technology, on what I'm doing, or it is tied directly to the hub on what we are doing, or it ties directly to the ventures or initiatives that we're working on. So this is what people call credibility, a sign of credibility towards what we are doing. So you cannot be an entrepreneur and say that you are not talking about what you are doing. You cannot be an entrepreneur and not be able to communicate what you are doing on a consistent basis. So that is that for communication. Remember, what we are treating is your startup information, ability to clearly understand the problem you are solving, clearly communicating what you do and what your startup is actually doing. With that said, the next thing we are moving over to is using resources effectively. We mentioned earlier in this hub, in our onboarding section, that we have access to a lot of resources. So I would want to emphasize it once more. Please let us grab the use of our resources effectively. We might not be able to come and tell you we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on and so forth. But if only you can be able to communicate your needs at every point in time, I am confident that we can be able to provide you with the resources that is in our pool. Every entrepreneur here should utilize it. For example, or for instance, Hotspot has a lot of resources across startup development, marketing, sales, and so on and so forth, of which you happen to be a HubSpot startups partners, which gives us access to all these resources without stress. They have access to pitch deck templates and so on and so forth. So please, we would want to say, learn to leverage these resources effectively, of which we'll be sharing most of them on this call. Okay, how then can we embrace the power of now? How then can we embrace the power of now? I want to say something on this specifically. Your tomorrow is as a result of your now. Your now was as a result of your yesterday. Do not keep procrastinating what you want to add or achieve in your venture. Embrace the power of now, because your idea is already in another person's head all across the globe, if not even more than you can imagine. Anyone can wake up any morning and any day and replicate what you are doing with the fund he or she has gotten and kick you out of the market. We are not in, unless your idea is IP, that you have reserved it, you have registered it as an IP, you have every tendency of having every competition that hits you day by day. Just like the battle that is ongoing with the social media giants of Rails, you come to understand that almost all the startups, social media startups are implementing Rails. It is a competition. So we must understand that we are in a battle and we should embrace the power of now. Your team should understand that everything that we want to do is a matter of now. While you have made a decision on what you want to do, embrace the power of now to implement it. Else, in no sooner, in no later time, you would see a lot of competitors coming up. Especially when you have begun or you already started talking about what you are doing, people are watching. Embrace the power of now. And focus cannot be underestimated when it comes to the power of now. If really you want to understand that embracing the power of now requires focus, we would want to emphasize that I want to give an instance to explaining the need for focus. If you want to head to Osisioma now, and you bought a keke that is taking you directly to Osisioma, and another person wants to get to Osisioma but wants to branch in Abia State Polytechnic, there is every tendency that even the slowest keke that is heading to Osisioma directly would get to Osisioma before the person who is on a high speed that branches in Abia State Polytechnic to get there before you. So there is a need for focus. As much as you are working on your idea, as much as you're working on your startup, we want to emphasize that focus is essential. Focus can be tied down to your development team. They need to focus and build their product is essential. Else, the timeline for development will keep increasing and your go-to-market timeline will keep expanding. It is necessary that focus is implemented. I would also plead, if possible, let every team here have a specific timeline to achieve whatsoever he or she wants to do. This will help us to keep you on a watch to be sure that what you have mentioned, you are keeping to it. And I have also touched the product development too. Let your product development understand that at this early stage, your metrics can only be measured by your product development. Yes, the number of persons you talk to, the number of wait lists, yes, they would help you to validate your idea, but until your product gets to the market, when I mean product, I did not mean your full product. Your MVP is basic. Until your MVP is already in the hands of people using it, it is still an idea. It is a sad news that, or sad observation and learning that we have learned newly. Until your product is in the hand of your users, it is still what? An idea. Until a user, at least one user is using your product and tells you, I don't like this, change this, your product is still an idea. It is not yet a product. So let's understand that as a tech startup, it is only the ability of your product being in the hands of users and get continuous feedback that you can really say that you have a product. All right, with that mentioned, I want us to interact based on these 6 points so that it will not just be me talking. Based on these 6 points that we have mentioned on startup information, we would want to know, okay, before I open up for discussion, I want to say, here are resources to help us. While I will not be here to give you all the detailed information, we'll share this slide after this section. The first resource that we'll be sharing is a PR and branding kit for startups and entrepreneurs. It's a kind of a content that has four modules or 4 contents for you. There you will see how to create PRs for your startup. There you will see how to compose a compelling vision and mission statement for your startup, and few other resources attached to it. And the next write-up I want to share with us is why some startups win. So this will emphasize the point on why product development, the power of now, okay, to cut across all these sectors. So this is the 2 resources that we'll be pointing you to that you will need to look at. All right, so I want to pause for now before we move over to the next module. Let's have an interaction in this 6 points that we have mentioned. How does that relate to you? How do you have questions around it? Do you think it is something that we need to re-emphasize more? Is it something that you're already adopting? Just or comment questions. So let's hear from you, either through the comment section, or you can mute yourself and ask questions or contribute. Hi guys, don't keep me, I believe I can be heard. So can we have an interaction on this, on what you are working on? Do you have a clarity of your problem? Do you find it challenging communicating your problem, or do you find it challenging communicating your mission, your vision, and so on and so forth? So let's interact. Let's use the comment section, or you unmute yourself and give your own input.
Hello. Hello, can someone hear me?
Yes, speak on promise. Yes, we can hear you, promise. Go ahead. All right, I think we lost him. While he comes back, someone else can proceed with that, or proceed with any questions or comments. All right, so I will move forward while we still have our questions and thoughts coming later. So with that said, the assignment for us here, each and every one of us, which is expected to come in on or before Monday next week, is that you should create your PRA content as usual and share across your PRA content. By the time you must have gone through this PRA and branding kit for startups and entrepreneurs, you are expected to create your own PRA content, upload the content in a drive, on a Google Drive, and share the link with us. Have a clear mission and problem statement, which also is in this resource that we shared with you. So that is the take-home assignment for the first module that we've just treated. I believe I can be heard. All right. The next section we are moving over to is company type and structures. Why we would not spend much time on this section, because we are not legal practitioners, but we'll just give you an emphasis on types of company types and company structures, and the need for each and every one of us to be structured at this early stage. We'll just give you an overview of it, and we hope that as we proceed, when it is highly necessary, we would bring in a legal person to treat this section properly. But what we are giving to you is the foundation that you need to really scale now. A company is an entity. A company is an entity. And it is very important that every entrepreneur should separate himself from his or her startup or entrepreneur. Sorry, his or her startup or company. So permit me to use startup as a company for now, because until the startup bill is passed fully, we still call ourselves as company, right, in Nigeria. So permit me to still use the word interchangeably between startup and company for this section. So we have, in Nigeria, we have the law that binds that every entrepreneur, every business, a business should be registered. And it is very important for a business to be registered. If your company or your business is not registered, there are a few things that you are unable to access. You won't be able to have a corporate account. You'll not be able to really have a brand or identity out there. So as a startup, we have the sole proprietorship, which none of us here is expected to be a sole proprietor. So we'll not be treating it we'll not be treating it so much for now. We have the business name registration, which is a partnership, which can also be in the form of partnership. A business name is more of just, excuse me. A business name is just more about registering a name with the Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria to be able to use the name for trading. Nevertheless, it's not an incorporation. What do we mean by that? A business name is majorly for a very small business, which do not really have a tax that they pay per se, a rigid tax or a rigid policy around them when it comes to business name. That's the much I can give you about that, but it is not really an incorporation. People who, when it comes to transacting with a large amount of money, okay, it also has a limitation when it comes to amount of money you can transact. It also comes to the point that you cannot really use it for having external investors coming to your business. So it has its own limitation. The only time it is advised is when you are still starting up and you do not have per se the capital to incorporate a business. Then we can easily advise that you should go with business name. Nevertheless, it is strongly recommended that you go for an incorporation. So the next one we'll be treating is the company incorporation, limited liability company. While there are other incorporations that are now out, especially with amended CAMA, like I mentioned, we're not going in depth. The other one is a private limited by shares, which is a limited company, where each and every one of us is recommended that we all stay because it is limited by share. You have external persons join you as co-founders. You have investors to come in later as at one due to become to own a share, which indirectly becomes their part of the business. So it is expected that every startup here should have their business legally registered. Recommended is limited by shares, that is a limited liability company. But if at a point the fund is a challenge and you or your venture cannot be able to provide that, it is necessary that you register as a business name. So to help you achieve that, we already have legal persons as partners by the hub. So if your startup wants to incorporate one, you can talk to me, send in your request for that, and we'll link you up to a legal practitioner to help you to achieve that. So that is that for your company's type. And so let's move on to the structure, organizational structure. Ladies and gentlemen, organizational structure, which most of us might have already seen before, is a visual diagram of a company which clearly describes who an employee or employees report to or reports under. Now, for every investors to come in, they want to understand your organizational structure. Organizational structure can also emphasize or clearly explain how your decision is made in your company. So an organizational structure can start from your board of directors down to your the CEO, down to your marketing team, and so on and so forth. This explains how decisions are being made in your firm. So that answers if most of you have seen a pitch competition or investment section. An investor will ask you, how does the organizational structure look like? How is your board made of, and so on and so forth. The necessity of why they're asking you is to understand how you make decisions. It is important for we to understand that every startup, now that we are still early, though it might not be per se necessary because our team has not grown, but it is important for we to understand that organizational structure is vital, starting from the board of directors down to the CEO, down to the team for now. But when your team grows, you would get to see people like your marketing team, how the engineering team collaborates with the marketing team, how communications are made, how decisions are made before it gets down to the roots or to your to the least person in the organization. That is what the organizational structure is. So I've added a link here for your consumption on a team structure diagram. Actually, there are different types of organizational structures, but we will not be diving deep into it. It's just for you to understand the necessity that every entrepreneur should understand, one, your company incorporation types. Every entrepreneur should understand that there is this what we call the organizational structure and should be able to really know this at this early stage. Okay, I would, okay, I think I have a comment here before I move forward. Okay, from Chinaza Favor, my question is, if a product is only an idea until when it's been adopted and used by users who also give their feedback on the use of products, I usually hear entrepreneurs and business analysts say that a business isn't thriving well when it's only family that have patronized it yet. Does this statement applies to our product graduating from being just an idea when it's used by family members? All right, thank you very much for that question. I believe I read the question clearly. Let me just repeat it. So to summarize the question, what she's asking is, does the statement of saying that your product, okay, let me just say this, does the question or the comment about families using your product really say that, or really be a claim that your product is in the market? Okay. I want to say something. Families might not be the best persons to use a product. Why? Because they might not be able to really tell you what is working and what is not working. When it comes to your idea, you should be able to understand that your families might not be the best person to use your product. Nevertheless, investors will tell you that your family should be the first set of investors in your product. Reason is because if you're unable to convince your family to invest in your idea, you would mean that you're unable to really convince another external person to invest in your business. That is number one. That is a claim I want to stand by. That if you're unable to have your families, your friends, to invest in you as an entrepreneur, to invest in your idea, you might find it hard to really win any investors to come into your idea to invest in you. But when it comes to product use, they certainly would be the worst person to tell you the truth that your product is not what they need. They might be emotional about it. They might feel, let me just keep encouraging my brother, my sister, my son, my daughter, and keep telling him that the product is good. It will only take an entrepreneur who has already known what it means to build a product to really tell you, man, this is not what I need. This is not what it is. Right? So that is my own input. I think it's a question, and I want another person to give his input on that if you have any comment before we move over to the next section. All right, Chinaza, can you confirm that your question has been answered if you can hear me? All right, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. All right, we move over to the financial record keeping. And I think we're already summarizing. Financial record keeping. We want to share an experience with this, why I talk about this. Please, let's understand that record keeping is important for every business. Record keeping, financial record keeping is important, very important for every business. As we proceed, we'll see the importance. For you to be able to have a tax clearance, you need your financial records. Else you'll be paying hugely to achieve it. For you to have an investor or an investment coming into your team or into your venture, you need a financial record. For you to, there are a lot of things that are tied towards financial record. Unfortunately, we learned in a hard way, and that is why we are all treating this section to be sure that each and every one of us do not experience same issue that we faced. Each and every one of us don't face same issue that we faced in the future. Finance is essential. The ability to track your income and expenditure is very important. And in this early stage, it is quite easier for an entrepreneur, especially the CEO, to be able to achieve this. As the team grows, we can either give it out to an accountant or outsource it. But it is important for us to know that financial record keeping is important. Now the question would be that most of us will now ask is, what if I've not started generating revenue? Please, the answer to that is the little amount of money that you put into building your product and building your business, please record and keep it. Record and keep it. It will help you in a vital decision making. Now let's look at the importance of keeping it. Now, first of all, say that a good record keeping practice is necessary, that it will comply to various laws. I have just given you an instance. Example is when you are incorporated as a company, I will tell you that it is important that you file your annual returns every year. It is important that you pay your tax. Paying of tax does not mean that you must pay a tax. But ability to tell them that you don't have a tax is ability to provide your financial record. So why is it important for we to do this? It is important that you keep your record, financial record, so that at every point in time that you need it, you can easily have access to it. So that whenever you want to file your annual returns, any chartered accountant can easily use your financial records to generate you your annual financial records. Else, you'll be paying hugely in order to achieve it. Okay. Here are the benefits. Here are the benefits. Number one, if you keep a good financial record, it will easily help you to determine your monthly burn rate and also your runway. If you keep a good financial record, it will help you to determine your runway and your monthly burn rate. This might sound so strange to most of us that are just, but let me just try to emphasize something. When we talk about runway, what we mean by runway is how long can your fund be able to take you? That is the runway. So if you have, for example, 5 million naira or 2 million naira as your startup capital, ability to have your expenses and income recorded would help you to determine how much you spend every month. So ability to know how much you spend every month, if you spend 500,000 every month, automatically you know that your runway of that 2 million naira is 4 months. So ability to have a proper financial record keeping would help you to determine your monthly burnout rate. Your monthly burnout rate simply means how much you spend every month. So if you're able to really have a good financial record keeping, you would be able to determine your runway and also determine your monthly burn rate. It will also help you to determine your net profit margin ratio. So when you have your income recorded, when you have your expenses recorded, automatically you will be able to really determine your net profit and your ratio between them, between months. So that is to say, within months 1 to 5, you can easily know your growth metrics, your expenses, your losses, and so on and so forth. So these are what we have to all do at this early stage. At this early stage, all of us ought to do this. I tell you nothing but the truth. We have been billed almost over 200,000 to have our annual financial record to be prepared because we did not have a proper, financial record. So we would not want any venture to have such experience now, especially now we are still early. Else, when we have grown or when we are validated and we want to begin to start talking about raising capital, it will become a big problem. Also, it will help you to determine your biggest customers. When you have a good, proper accounting, it will help you to know your plan that is making the best way. If you are in a subscription model, you will know the series of plan that is giving you what you are actually looking for. If you have it like in regions or location, you'll be able to know where more locations are giving you the money so that your energy can be driven towards that sector. So financial record keeping is exhaustive. I cannot really per se give you details of the full advantage, but I've given you a story, I've given you our experience, I've given you the benefits of having it mapped out. And a way forward is that by my left, I have a link of about 8 top accounting and bookkeeping softwares in 2022. So your task is go through this resource that we shared, make a decision. We are not the one to tell you the decision to the platform to use. Make a decision of the platform that you think is free and also serves what we have mentioned. Create an account on the selected platform and start sharing or making your financial record keeping. So by Monday, while you are sharing your problem statement, your PR document, also state in clarity the platform that you have created an account with and you have started keeping your financial record on. That is assignment for that. I believe we are still on this call. Please use the chat section to affirm that we are all following so that I won't be talking to myself. If the section is interesting, if it is not valuable, if it is important, please use the chat section and inspire me to keep talking. I'm waiting for your okay. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Precious. All right, thank you, Trust. Okay, thank you for your confirmation. Okay, so we move over to the next section, and which is team. So at this juncture, I want to have my colleague, Mr. Igwe, to talk about that, and we'll now open up for questions and answers. Ah, Igwe, are you there? All right. So I just got a confirmation that in 2 minutes he would join us and take on the section. So we would want to take questions now before we would move over to the next section, which is questions. So let's take the question sections before Igwe would jump on the call to treat the team, and we call it a day. Questions. We are already in the question section. Before Ms. Igwe will take on the team, if you have questions, you can let us know. If you don't have questions, also emphasize that you don't have a question so that I won't be talking to myself. All right, so a question here is from Don. Is a firm meant to pay tax if they don't make profit in a business year? All right, so thank you very much. I would want to emphasize that, these are things that we did not know when we incorporated our company back then, and it cost us a lot, like I mentioned, which we do not want any one of us to do this. So it is actually, as a matter of fact, it is in the company law, it is in company law of CAC. CAC will come after you once you do not have your annual return filed with CAC. They will come after you, and there's no two ways about it. At least, I think a legal person was telling us sometime last year that they have refined the law that whether you come or not, your penalty fees are accumulating. So whether you make profit or not, it is expected that your annual return is filed. So it is now when you file it, you can really show them that you don't have any tax to pay, and it is clear. So it is the ability to have this filed. It is the ability to have this cleared with FIRS that you can be issued a tax clearance certificate every year. So the answer to your question is, if you don't make a profit, you will not pay any tax. Fine. Nevertheless, they would not know that you did not make any profit if you did not file your annual returns, which can only be achieved when you have your financial statement or financial record done day to day, documented, which is given to an accountant to generate your annual return document that you used to file by a legal person in your file in CAC, and also to clear your tax with FIRS. So I don't know if that answers your question. All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, any other questions, please ask. If there are no questions, let's have comments and let's have a few discussion. I would emphasize what we have done so far before Ms. Igwe comes. I'm still looking at my chat session, or you can unmute yourself and ask questions. All right, Mr. Igwe just confirmed that he can go ahead. Okay, so before I emphasize and summarize, let's move over to the team. Over to you, Mr. Igwe.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Nana, for that. It's been insightful, and I must say thank you for that opportunity. So please pardon my voice, and I hope everyone can hear me. So good morning, everyone. I am excited to be here this morning, and I want to confirm that someone can hear me. So can I just get an acknowledgement that someone can hear me? Okay, so
yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you so much. So let me just start by saying that what we are doing today, or what we'll keep doing, is to learn from each other, right? So we also want everyone to understand the fact that your experience building your venture is also a resource to what we are doing within this program and moving ahead, right? So talking about team, one important thing I would like us to understand is that we don't build companies. We don't really build companies. We build people. So this should be at the back of our minds, that what we are doing is to build people. Then people build companies. If you don't have people, you can't build company. You can't build a venture, right? And the quality of whatever you build is dependent on the quality of people. So the most important thing for any company, any venture, is the quality of people. Take it anywhere. That's the most important thing. So why should we take this very serious? Why we should take this serious is that this is the most important thing. It is not about the finance. It is not about the money. It is not about the product. It is about the people. Let me tell you why. If you have the right people or good people, quality people, you can raise the fund you are looking for. If you have great people, you can build great products, right? So that is why we have to take this very serious when we are looking at SIM. So we shouldn't jump very quickly into bringing people to come and join us on our ventures without truly understanding if those people are the right people that should join us on that venture. As founders, most times we become emotional about bringing people to our team. So emotional about people around us. Let me just ask him to join us to be part of my team so that it will not look as if. So most times we even bring people who are close to us, regardless of our family members, our dear friends, so they can be part of what we are doing. See, if they are not the right people, don't bring them in. I was speaking with a founder who is really someone to look up to. Now, he said something. He said, after he fired his team that he started with, they became $1 million company within 6 months. He said, after he fired the people he started with, the company became $1 million company. Let me tell you why. The reason is this: people can be reluctant, people can be nonchalant, right? But if you have the right people, they can go as far as possible to build the right company, especially people who are your friends, who can relax and just feel like do it anyhow. And these people cannot inspire you to really do certain things. So if we have already formed teams, right, what we can do is to keep re-emphasizing to people why we need to be the best team to build this product. And I tell people, when you have people who are no longer in line with the mission, fire them. Regardless of what it will cost you, fire them. Anyone who is no longer in line with the mission of the company should be fired. And it is a job of the CEO to fire and to hire. There are no sentiments. It is about the mission of the company. But what I'm trying to say is, you can't just fire somebody because of your personal interest, right? You fire people because you have won the person, you have spoken with the person, and the person is becoming an issue to the progress of the company. Such person should be fired. Why? Because the person can influence every other person, and at the end of the day, the company fails. Now the question is, you failed, the person has failed, and the company has failed, which you could have salvaged the company by firing one person who is actually causing hazard to the company, right? Now, why do you have to fire people? Why you have to fire people is especially if people no longer believe in the vision, in the mission, and they are not working in alignment with the mission of the company. This is one reason why such people should be fired. Every single day, a company or a venture is meant to keep working on its mission. So anyone who is against that mission is against the company. So it is not someone who is against you, it's like someone who is against the mission of the company. So if you are in a football match, if you now start trying to score an own goal on your own side, the coach will fire you, the coach will remove you. That is how it is, because if you leave the person, you are going to lose the game, right? So how do you find people to join your team? Number one is, first of all, like I said, you must understand why you need to bring people in your team. Then look at the current stage your company is and consider what are the skill sets that your company needs at the moment to do what it needs to do. That will not determine the people you need to bring on board. You might not need to go and start bringing an accountant, a lawyer, a mobile app developer, web app developer, if there is no need at the moment for that. So first thing first, look at what you are doing at the moment and look at what are the skill sets we need to move this company from now to the next level. If we need a marketer, then bring a marketer. If you don't need a marketer, you don't need a marketer from what you have analyzed. And also, let me emphasize on the fact that there is this feeling for us to go and bring 1 million people in our team. It is not about the number of people in the team, it's about the quality of people in the team. So there's also this feeling when you raise money, if you have 50 million now, if you have 100 million, 10 million, you want to bring everybody to be in your team. And the results shows that it is not, productivity does not come just by the result of number of people in your team. It is the quality, their effectiveness on each of the tasks that will bring the productivity. So what we need to consider is what are the skill sets that we need to move to the left. We can now get those people to bring in the best people to be in our team. And how can this happen? Don't be scared to tell people what you are doing and ask them to come and join you. If they say no, fine. It's the same thing to pitching to investors. And don't pitch to people and tell people we are building an app. Even when you are pitching, your communication to people you are bringing on board should focus on the mission and why you are doing what you are doing. This is what we are doing, and this is why I think you should resign from your job and join me. So you can talk to a bank manager, you can talk to a high executive person in a big startup company, and the person can resign and come and join you. Why? Because the person believes that you have a vision and you have a mission that you are pursuing every single day. There is this saying that nobody will join someone who says, let us go and do one minor job. But if someone says, let us go to the moon, because it is very difficult to go to the moon, people will want to join. People want to see that your vision is something that is clear and is something that a lot of people will be excited doing, right? And there should be this thing that if we achieve it, there will be this level of fulfillment. And it must be mission driven, right? So I think these are a few things I want to point out. And I believe that most of us also have experience around team because we have been working with people and how we can also do it much better. So I'll say if you have any question around this, you can go ahead to point it out. If you also have suggestions and your thoughts around this, you can also kind of bring it on table so that we can co-learn together and be able to build amazing ventures together. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Igwe. Thank you so much for that insightful section. So just like you mentioned, it is open now. I want to emphasize something before we stop. Please, let's not see this as a speaker audience section. As a matter of fact, we are all still learning. We are all still students. Not that I have built a company that is already an IP, so that you will not see us as someone who is who has built so much. It's just that we are opportune to be to have had more experience, but we are still learning. Remember, each and every one of us here are still building businesses. So please, with that emphasized, let's hear your thoughts. Let's hear your input around the team or any other part of the modules that we earlier mentioned. This is question and answer and comment time. All right, thank you, Chinaza, for the confirmation, for the appreciation. Okay, I think we don't have any comments here. We still have about 20 minutes left for our official end of call for this weekly check-in. I would now want to go through all that we have said. So you can see that Mr. Igwe's suggestion and input on the team boils down to the startup information as I earlier mentioned. So it is very important that we understand our startup properly for we to be able to even with someone into our team. For emphasis sake, remember I've mentioned startup information, understand your problem, have a good mission and vision statement. Let it be clear, let it be simple, no complexity, please, no complexity. Don't go trying to put up a statement that is so long, so ambiguous, that when someone reads it, after reading the first sentence, to get into the second sentence, he is lost and he's confused and he starts afresh. Please just read, just create a simple statement that would guide you in your decision making. And I've already mentioned that We'll share this slide immediately after this call. Go through it. These resources are meant for your consumption. Read through it. And your assignment for this first module is create your PROs, upload to Google Drive, define your mission and your vision statement, which the resources here will provide you with guides to achieve that. Do that and send it via email as usual. Your company structure, this is a resource for you. Read through it, understand more about organizational structure. There's no assignment on that because we don't really need it for now. But it's good that you understand it so that when we call it up in a few months to come, it wouldn't be something that is sounding so strange or new to you. A financial record keeping, this is very paramount. This is very important. No matter how small your business is, utilize financial records. Utilize financial records. And the assignment for you is read about the free accounting platforms that is on this link here. Then choose one, create your own account for your business and start using it. Send us the information. And the information, I believe there should be a way for we to track it. Look into the platform. Send us how we can be able to confirm that you have created one and you started using it. And send it also via the email on Monday before close of business. And your team has been done very well by Mr. Igwe. I don't have any input to give to you. But the take home here is, I know most of you have sent in their pressing need. Remember, why we ask for that is for us to generate a content for what we are teaching you now. So what you are learning now is as a result of what you have looked into as a pressing need, what you have looked into as something that you need to know now. So don't expect us to be the one to go and do hiring for you. No, it is the work of the founders. It is the work of the entrepreneurs. It's the work of the CEO to see that he or she recruits the team. But what we are just trying to tell you is the importance of recruiting the team that is of relevance to you. Oh my God. So that you don't be going about paying workforce that you don't need. don't mind my exclamation. So that you will not be paying for a workforce that is not necessary to your growth. At your early stage, one person might have to be doing the job description of almost 3 persons. It is understandable as a startup. That's why we are founders. Don't go hire a skill. Don't go and bring in a software engineer when you know that you are not bringing a cloud engineer when you are very much sure that you have not gone to a point of managing cloud. Don't go and start bringing in what other emphasis, accountant, when you have not even started generating up to 10 million naira. Something that you can easily use a platform to monitor and do what you want to do. So bring in the team that is important to you. But the most important thing is that if you have identified that you need a PRO or a digital marketer, please immediately, without hesitation, get that person into your team, provided it will help you to achieve what you want to achieve. I'm not talking much on that team. Mr. Igwe has already said much about that. Now it's time for questions. Okay, how do we get linked to the resources? Is it for this one or the general one I spoke about, Mr. Trosh? Please confirm. Are you referring to the one mentioned on this?
Yeah, the ones on the slides, the resources you said we should go check out. Most of those ones.
Sure, we would, like I mentioned, we would share this slide immediately after this call via email, so you can easily access it. Did you get that?
Yeah, yes, okay, yeah.
All right. Questions now. Most of us came in late. While we entertain questions, please use the comment section. I know we have really learned a lot. Okay, Tochku is asking for the link to the main resources. Like we mentioned, we have a lot of pool of resources that we cannot just say let's share. Sharing it will just be, as a matter of fact, we ourselves do not even know the resources that we have again. That's a joke actually. That is to tell you that it is quite numerous that we cannot really say. Some of them, we don't need it now. Like we have resources on investment readiness. We'll start sharing that when the time comes. We have resources around email marketing and so on and so forth, which, like I mentioned, we are hotspot partners. We are AWS partners. So we have a lot of, we have been into the Entrepreneurship World Cup. We have access to resources. So what we just want to say is anything that is important for you and your team at any instance that you need, just do a request to us. We would look to our resources and share you with what you need. That is what how we can be able to achieve that. For those that came in late, you have missed a lot. Nevertheless, as mentioned, the slide will be shared. But I bet you will not actually get everything that we mentioned because what is on the slide is majorly a headline of points or a guide. So I would appreciate that each and every one of us keep to our timing. All right, Mr. George has his hand raised up. I would call you now. Let me attend to the ones on the chat section. We would appreciate that you join in the call as early as possible. Okay, good thing is this session is recorded, so that is that's the interesting thing. So Clayton, you might change your face to a happy face. We would also share the recording now alongside with the slide to see that you can watch it later. All right, promise. My question is, if a startup is in need of a team member, can the club help out or the founders source of the team by himself? Okay, thank you. Like mentioned, hiring is the work of the founder and the CEO. Hiring, maybe I will let you go to say something on that.
Okay, thank you for the question. See, one of the core jobs of the CEO is to hire people. The worst thing you can do is to get people to hire people for you, especially on day one, especially when you are starting as a startup, right? So you go and be forming big man and be in the office and you have two people who are interviewing people to join your company, which is totally wrong, especially now you are starting. So see it as your job. Even most CEOs, even as they are growing, if they want to hire top officials, right, top persons to join their team, they do the hiring. If you remember when Facebook was starting, or if you have watched that social network, you see that Mark is the one that hires people. He gives them the task and he does the hiring. So it's your job to do hiring. But what happens is that you can ask questions, you can advise, you can ask for advice, or you can ask for recommendations. You can ask someone, do you have someone that you think that would be the best match for me to do this? Then someone can suggest and say, okay, yes, I have. Even when after suggesting, you understand the mission, the vision better than any other person. Before the person joins, you need to make sure that the person is in alignment, right, with what you are building. So if you have core values, so you need to checkmate anyone who is coming into your team, whether the person has that core values, right? So let me give an instance. An instance is that what you're building, you need people who are happy, who are excited at every point. So you might have someone who is very good, but the person is what's the word they usually call them? People that wants to stay alone on their own. So if you see that, and that does not connect to the value of your company or what you're trying to build, you can decide to say, no, we can't bring this person in, right? But someone will recommend the person, but you are the one to now decide fully if the person should come on board. So do it yourself, but ask questions in case you need help. But before the person joins, make sure, let's build this culture of indoctrination. So for anybody joining your team, you need to indoctrinate the person so that the person will really understand. Just Boko Haram, that if they initiate you into Boko Haram, for you to go, it is hard. So for anybody coming on board, make sure that there is indoctrination for the person, right? Then it's now fine if the person is not, you are the best person to know if the person is the best match for you. I think that's all I can say.
All right, I believe that has answered your question, promise. But from the club, what I would only say, I understand, I would not dispute the fact that most of us are still beginners or might have not actually even had the first recruitment experience before. What we can only say is, while you do your search and you want to do an interview and you think you want any of us to be on the call to just as a motivation or to just be at the background to listen to what he or she has and so on and so forth. It's something that you can actually make a request, but see it as a responsibility. That is the most important thing. Please confirm if questions has been answered. So to confirm that you have gotten an answer to your question. Cletus, confirm that you heard what we said, and Promise also confirm if you're.
Okay, sorry, just one quick response to that. So Promise, see this, you know, if if someone helps you to hire, in most cases, the person you hire will not be loyal to you as a CEO. Do you understand? This has happened. I've had this experience a couple of times. People ask me to help them do hiring, right? Because they want to use my influence. Now, what happens? The person who is joining the team becomes loyal to me, who is not the CEO, who is not the founder, and not loyal to the CEO. I don't know if you get that. So that is also why you also need to be very careful so that you don't go and bring people and people begin to now see it from the point that, oh, it is this person that made me to come to this company. It is this person I owe allegiance and loyalty to, and not the CEO. Do you get? So you also need to be very careful because the team needs to submit to you as a CEO. For instance, the team, you are the one they are going to work every day with, and they need to be loyal to you. So not the one the person will come and not be loyal because you are not part of the process of him joining that company, right? So these are some of the reasons why we need to be very careful while bringing people in our team.
Thank you, Mr. Igwe, for that input. So before we go over to Don's question, I think Mr. George had his hand raised up. So Mr. George, over to you.
Yeah. Good day. Sorry, I'm late. I don't think I saw any calendar invites. Maybe I didn't set up my calendar for the.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
Okay, I said sorry that I came in extremely late. That's because I usually set my calendars so that I don't miss any appointment. I actually remembered it yesterday, thinking it was yesterday, and I missed it. But nonetheless, the first question I had been answered. I was saying that when you said we missed a lot, I remember the meeting was being recorded. So that's been answered. The second one is, what if a CEO doesn't know how to hire?
All right.
You talked about, I have actually been, I've actually had the experience of sitting with some HR, and my associates have had those kind of experiences too, where the person sitting there actually doesn't know what they're talking about. You know, they don't know, and but because you are there to be hired, you just keep whatever to yourself and let them do their thing. So what in a case where a CEO doesn't know what he's about? You're trying to bring on board someone that is quite experienced and more experienced than you, the CEO. So what happens in that case?
Okay. I'll let you go to answer if I make my comment.
Okay. First of all, we are talking about early stage companies. Companies are ventures that are just starting. So before you even start having HRs, how did you get your first person to come to? How did you even hire your HR? Did you consult your HR to get your first person to join your team? So we are talking about early stage ventures, right? So most of those ventures are ventures that are quite big. They are already growing. They are at the growth stage. So at that point, the CEO might now start delegating and then create a system on how hiring must be done. Even as at that point, some CEOs want to still be part of major hiring in the company. But if they are hiring, let's say interns, they're hiring minor level positions, they might not be there. But if like someone like Elon Musk, at this point, even when the chief engineer is going to be hired, he needs to be there. There are reasons why he wants to be there, right? So, but your question is, what if the person does not know how to hire? That is also why the person needs to start learning how to hire at the early point. We might not know everything. That is why we are also having this kind of meeting. What are the basis of hiring, right? At least for the basic hiring. That is why you need to have a very clear mission. You need to have a very clear vision, and you need to understand the core values you need for people to join your team, right? I saw someone who is saying, what if you have a very talented person, right? And the person who is very talented, skillful, exhibits certain characters, attitudes. You don't need to hire such person. You need to weigh, you must have something you use to weigh who comes into the team. So beyond just skill. So if you're looking for people who are respectful, people who are humble, so you might not need to bring someone who is arrogant, regardless of how good the person is. Because the person could be good now, but the person would destroy the company just overnight, right? So one, you must be open to learn, right? And hiring at the early stage is one thing the CEO must do. Now, an instance is an instance is, what if you say, what if the CEO cannot lead? It is by default for you to learn how to lead, right? So that is how I'll summarize it. But it's what you are saying is true, but you now need to expose yourself to learning. You need to expose yourself to interact with other persons. Then use some of these frameworks we have created to say, have a core value that you use to checkmate who you need to. It's kind of marriage. It's kind of relationship. For you to marry someone, you need to know that the person has the value you want. You need to set the values you want for your company. For you to not say, this is a man, this is a woman I want to stay with all the rest of my life. So one question you always ask yourself, can I work with this person for the next 10 years? Is this person the kind of person I can work with in the next 10 years? So don't be excited with his skill. And at the end of the day, you might not work with the person in the next 10 years. So that's my input.
All right, Mr. Ugo, thank you. In addition, the question was funny, but it was actually real. Like I mentioned earlier, none of us were born with the ability to hire. And not everyone is called to be an entrepreneur, startup for that matter. So if you have made a decision that you are a CEO and you want to run a business, you must have that understanding at the back of your mind, see it as a responsibility. And until one sees something as a responsibility, he or she will not want to improve. So if you're a software engineer, you have seen that software engineering is your responsibility, and that is why you want to learn every framework and update that comes to it and get certified. It is because you have seen that is your responsibility, right? So as a CEO and founder of a company, know and understand that hiring is your responsibility. And you must go extra mile by all means to know how to hire. There's no one method cut across all sectors, right? It's just a matter of find out what you need, like we mentioned. But don't compromise your company's vision and mission. That is why we said once you have a clarity of that, it will help you to make decision, which is also across hiring, right? So if you understand that your mission is to help workforce to have a global relevance, you know that anybody you are hiring who is not thinking globally cannot work in your team. Simple and short. If you bring somebody and you're interviewing the person and you're telling him how you want to go global, and he's telling you that I don't think you can go global. I think we should just operate in Aba, and it is Aba that we can succeed. You know that automatically, for you to change that mentality, to take you time, you can't work with that person no matter how exceptional that person is. So emphasis around hiring, there's no big deal as far as this early stage startup, early stage investment is. When you now grow, you can now begin to talk about outsourcing it to HR. But as a CEO, it is important that you know. We have given you much reasons that we can give. We have given you much reasons we can give. We are still learning, but from the little experience we have learned, experiences that we have learned in a hard way, we would still stand in the claim that CEOs are meant to do their hiring. And even in this place, I've seen a scenario. Let me just be more realistic. I've seen a scenario where Mr. Igwe hired somebody, like he was the person that did the interview. I was not available then. On coming back, if there's no a proper introduction and proper emphasis on who I am and what I do, that person can only answer to you, but not to me. So this is the necessity why it is very important that the CEO knows how to hire and hire what you need. So, Mr. Don, that would also touch your question by saying that it is not all about super talented. A super talented and bad attitude will spoil everything that you have worked all your life to build, right? One small bad egg can scatter. If you put up to 10 eggs broken into a plate and you take one very small one that is rotten and pour into it, all the 10 automatically becomes condemned. As a matter of fact, it's easier to change. It is very tough to replace or to change a rotten or a bad egg in the midst of the good ones. What am I trying to say? Please, CEO has a very critical role to play in company's success. And that is why when a company grows and the CEO is not performing, the matrix is not being met, they don't care. Your investors don't care who you are working with. They fire you. You are the one who is fired because you are not achieving your goal. They won't come and ask you, it's because of one super talented person that is working under you that is not delivering. They will fire you, and that super talented person will still be there. So that explains why some club, once the players are no longer satisfied with the coach, right? They plan coup against the coach and start playing rubbish just to fire the coach, because it is the coach that will be fired. The players will not be fired. So that is why the coach will always have the decision to make whether to bench you, no matter how professional you are. That is why only exceptional coaches can do that. They don't mind your stats in football history. They don't care to know. They bench you because you're not achieving the goal. So please don't allow super talented person to destroy you. I tell you, a person who is willing to learn and committed to your vision is much more better than a super talented person. Yes, it might take time. It might require some investment. But I tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. Someone who is willing to learn, someone who is committed to a vision is much more better than someone who is already good but becomes a bad egg in your team. So that is what I want to just leave with you. It's left for you to make a decision. Thank you very much. I have been in an interview where the interviewer, says that he choose to review my application or is moved to hire me because I'm a lady. In this case, what do you advise? Prove that I am not qualified because I'm a female, or I should just follow the statement and take the offer. You chose to review my application. Chinas, I'm finding it hard to understand your question. I don't know if you can unmute yourself and ask that question. Hi, Chinasa, Chinasa Favor.
Hello, Chinasa. Are you there? If I really got your question, the person wants to hire, the person said, the reason why I want to hire you is because you are a female. And now you are concerned. Is it really because I am a female? So why is this person making this statement, right? So if that's what you're asking, for me, this is just a random question. For me, you could decide to ask the person, oh, maybe, probably, it seems the opportunities available are for ladies. or get to know why the person is interested in. So it could be that the company at the moment wants more ladies, right? So, and you happen to be a lady, or at some point, some organizations are seeking for ladies and they're not coming. I know of a hardware company that wants ladies to come. So they're always excited when a lady is coming for an interview. So that could be the reason. So if you think maybe is this person talking about this for other certain reasons, you might need to clarify your mind or clarify the reason why the person is saying that without you having some assumptions, right? If at all that is what you are asking.
All right, our time is quite up. At this juncture, I want to stop now. I really appreciate. So this is still our information. I already know we all have it. Our website, our email, and social media. Please ensure that you have followed us across all social media, and you can always reach out to us via email or WhatsApp. Thank you all for your time. Before I end this call, okay, Chinasa confirmed that you answered her question. Thank you. So before I end this section, I would just want to say thank you all for coming, and I want us to really keep understanding that what we are doing is we are really helping ourselves. We are really helping ourselves to see that we are growing. I believe that this morning we have learned a lot. Like we have learned a lot. I've personally learned from our questions. I've learned from Ms. Ligwe. I've learned from myself. Certainly, aside the fact I presented from part of my experiences, I also had to do a lot of research to be able to talk with you. So we do not take it for granted. So please, while we end this call, remember the deadline. I will still share it via email. Remember that by Monday, you're expected to send in the assignments that are stated on the slides that will be shared, and the videos will be shared with you to spend time to watch them again. I really want to say thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Keep doing what you are doing. Don't get an entrepreneur is never shy of what he or she is building. Keep talking to people, whether they tell you they like it or not. Use it to improve what you are doing. Remember, from next week, our goal will be around the 4 areas that we mentioned: talking to users, product development, and so on and so forth. So what we expect from you is, from those 4 points that we mentioned, at every weekly check-in, you give us a feedback on what you are doing and what you did not do and what you are doing, so that we can use it as a background or as a backbone to keep in touch with you. Thank you, and do have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Please learn to keep to your time. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Yeah, bye everyone.